derpymoose99 here with episode 2 of series 2 Banished with megamod 9. Now I gotta warn you right at the start, I have not had my morning coffee yet, so this could be pretty rough. We'll see how she goes. Already starting in the wrong place on the map here. So, actually let's just set our hotkey while we're here. Right about there, we'll make that set. Okay. So this is our little town site. We've got a central market we haven't built yet. We built our initial forest node to survive our first winter up here. And we were building our second forest node down here, but we don't have the people to work it yet. I think we have one gatherer down here. And the reason we don't have people is we built an early school. So we have, I think I counted 5 7-year-olds here. So the graduation age depends on the distance from the school. So these are fairly close. So we should probably get those folks graduated around 15 or so. Maybe 16. Which means we have a few in-game years here to run. So what I'm going to do, and I won't do this on camera, you've seen me build 2 forest nodes already. I intend to actually build 2 more up above here in another central marketplace. And this still needs to be populated yet. And I usually like to build a little bit more food at the beginning, like a fishing dock or something, just to supplement our forest nodes. Don't really have a great opportunity for that here unless I build a house way out to the side. So what I think I'm going to do here, and I won't unpause this until the stuff in the other forest node down below is done, but if we go into the gatherers area, somewhere in here there's a mini gatherer, or tiny gatherer, that'll do. I think this is the one that I like to use in Jack and Jill. It looks like the same one. So I'm going to throw that over there. Pause it. And I'll put another tiny hunter here as well. Okay, and then just to have some storage, we'll do a small barn or something like that. So like I said, I won't build those for now, but if we get into a jam with food, once we have the people, it won't take a long time to build the second forest node down here. But what may take longer to build is up here when we want to build like a central market, and then some roads out to the side and roads up and build the nodes up there. We might have a bit of a lull in there where we're not generating enough food and we don't have the new areas up yet. So we'll think about this as a sort of a safety plan. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this stuff build down here. I'm going to get towards graduation up here. And I think we'll do that off camera. So I'm just going to pause it and I'll be back when we have a little bit more to build. Okay, a bit of an update here. We've finished building the forest node down here. The forester's hut and hunting hut are on pause here. An update on our lonely gatherer here. They have found a mate. And we still have just one person working this gathering hut. And I'm a little bit nervous about food, so it's been hovering between, say, 350 and 500. So I did go ahead and build the tiny gatherer and the tiny hunter over here, our backup. I don't really... You know what we could probably do, and it's going to be a bit of a walk here, so let's maybe put one person in that gatherer there. The other thing I did is I built the central market, put one person in there, and I noticed our firewood is getting close to the point where this tiny chopper won't be able to handle the job. So I've laid out like the way I usually do, unfortunately, but some things I just can't change. I've put in 2 sawmills here and a bit of a fuel stockpile. So next thing I'm going to do is get this sawmill going. But I think, let's have a quick look at our houses here. So our 7-year-olds are now 13. A few more babies in here. And this is why I use the log cabins for 5 occupants instead of 4 on some of the houses. Yeah. So we have 5 13-year-olds, which to me sounds pretty scary. So I'm going to let this run, go on pause and let this run a little farther forward until we actually get those people graduated. And then we'll get this forest node built with the houses. And then we'll look at expanding up into here. Okay, so I'll go back on pause. Hi, okay, welcome back. I just spotted this earlier. Thought it was I think it's a bear workout. I don't know if those are new animations or not. I haven't really noticed, or don't recall bears being in here before megamod 9, but I don't know. It looks like they're getting a good workout there. Alright, so where we're at is we've built the first of the sawmills. I've got 2 people in there and I've raised the fuel limit to 800. I want to sort of raise that up. Now to support the builds and stuff, I have turned this forest lodge onto cut and plant. But because of, I don't really have enough people yet, there's only 2 people working that, so that's not really sustainable long run to set the log limit to 200 and have that only 2 people in there, but it'll do for now. Okay, let's have a quick look at our houses here. Oh, by the way, I noticed a really horrifying thing. I misaligned this house here. It should be 1 spot lower. So it's hurting me to see that. So when we get a few more houses and maybe get a chance to build an extra house, I'm going to fix that, because now that I've noticed, that's going to bug me forever. And I don't want to go another 15 or so episodes looking at that. So, alright, let's let this run. Oh, the other thing I did here, even though we've only got 1 builder right now, our stone stock was pretty high. So because I want to do a lot of building up north here, I've decided to make this a stone road. Which is a pretty early stone road for me, but in a case like this, it's a fair distance to go. And a stone road would help with the movement. I don't know the exact factor, but it's quite a bit faster if you watch these guys on the transit here. Okay. Okay, we got a 17-year-old student. That's one of the furthest houses. A little bit older than I thought. Oh, there's a forester. Okay, so we've got a couple of people graduating here. So let's go to 2 and 2 in the laborers and builders. And let's get some of these houses going. So let's start 2 for now, but if I remember, there was 5. There's a male, female, male, 3 boys and 3 girls is what it looked like to me. Okay, so let's get 3 of these log cabins going. Give that a priority. Maybe I'll give it a pause here and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, it looks like everybody's moved out. So if we go through the houses here, 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, that'll be our next wave. And in here, on a 15-year-old, so we should get another boy. And that's really close to school, so that should be pretty quick. So I think what I'm going to do, I had 1 person working in the gatherer here. But that's a bit of a commute, so let's just turn that off. Now these are the 4 houses here over here. So we have two workers, except for that one. So we have 7 workers total down here. Yep. So let's max out this gatherer's hut, because our food is pretty shaky. So the gatherer's hut is maxed. And I think what we want to do is, let's put 1 person in this forest lodge. Okay, that's set to plant. We have 2 builders and 2 laborers. Now, I don't think we've finished the stone road yet. Yeah, it's not done, so we're gonna have to leave 2 builders in there. So let's up the ante a little bit on this working force lodge here. Let's at least give them 1 more person. You can see they're struggling to keep the 200 threshold there. They're at 62 right now. And unless, I think we'll keep this other tiny hunter down here just for when we get a few more graduates. And we'll keep this little area here, this temporary area, just as an emergency backup. And if we go up here, so if we pull up our yellow circles here, what I usually do is build a 5x5 stockpile right there at just outside the circle. So I want to look and see. I want to do 2 more forest nodes up here. There's a fair amount of room there, and something like that there. Okay, so I think what that means is, now we won't allow these to build until we have more people. Oops, that's the wrong way around. Let's get ready to build a couple of houses up here. Now, those will be slow to build to start with, but they will really fuel the expansion once they're built. And it'll be another central market, I think. So it's going to be a busy place up here, so... Oops, why am I getting the buzzer there? Okay, let's try this again here. Where's our central market? There. Okay, I deleted the houses. This is lack of coffee. This is what's going on here. Derping around. Okay, now we'll pause the market there. Okay, and I'm gonna watch these houses. I don't want them to build until we have people, but let's at least get them roughed in. Okay, so I think you probably don't want to see me lay out some forest nodes and do all that fun stuff, so let's do this with a few pauses to get it going here. Now again, once the plan is, once I have the 4 forest nodes up, then we're going to build over here, get some trade going. And I think what I want to do is give the greenhouses a fair chance here. I tried them in the last episode, but I think I mismanaged the location of the houses in relationship to the greenhouses. So we'll get some early sand and glass going. And greenhouses, I think. But I kind of want to have a house rule that I don't use anything or plant anything in the greenhouse that I haven't actually bought seeds for. So I think the first trader I might get going is a lot of seeds trader, or a farm trader, because we do want to do animals, so I'll have to think about that one. So anyways, I'm going to go on pause here. I'm going to let a little fast forward here, get some more workers, and I'll catch you in a minute. Hi there, so we've had 1 more graduate, so I decided to let one of these houses up north build. So right now it says teacher, but that'll change to laborer or builder depending. Now unfortunately the student here is going to take longer to graduate because it now has a larger walk to the school, but so that's a downside there. But at least we get a house operational up here and 1 person working, so I'm going to go off camera and lay that out. But the other thing I forgot, so if we go into our town hall buildings, there is something called a town arrival. And I think there's a few other small ones in here. But just as a temporary thing, you do the town arrival for 20 logs, and this gives you the food graphs and the inventory. So I want to build this, and I want to take a look at where we are with, there's certainly things like feathers and fodder and flowers, 3Fs, that'll fill the storage up. So I'm going to see where we're at with that. I noticed here, I was having a look. Now, I've seen some debate, people about whether hunters are effective or not. So I just wanted to show this. So there's 2 people working in this hut. And they got 12 leather, 400 venison, 40 feathers, and 800 duck meat last year. So that's 1,200 food. And then you can actually take the duck meat and can it, and the venison and through a butcher, and multiply that a little bit. So 1,200 food for 2 people and a little bit of leather and some feathers is pretty darn good. So I think these are well worth putting in. Now, I noticed in maybe previous versions they were nerfed a bit or whatever, but in the current version of megamod 9, these are highly worthwhile. Okay, so just a note there, building a town arrival and laying out up here, and I'll be back when we have more graduates. Okay, welcome back. We've just had a few more graduates here. What I've done off camera is I've laid out a forest node over here on the right. Now unfortunately we're a little close to the river, so I'm not going to have a lot of room on this side of the central market for building. Up here I laid out another forest node. And let's just have a quick look at our town arrival that built. So it says we're 1 house short. Now that's, always take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. More of a general indicator, because it depends on, you know, if it's, actually I'll think of a better way to explain that later, but don't trust this exactly. It's close, but not exactly. Okay, we had a 15-year-old student, we have another 15-year-old student, we have a 17-year-old laborer, 17-year-old forester. Okay, so by my reckoning, that'll let us build this other salt box house up here, so let's go ahead and do that. I also have a school here, and a well. Now I did something that's a little bit dangerous. I laid out stone roads here for these future forest nodes, so that's gonna distract the builders for quite a while here, but the road to the right has built, or is almost finished, so I don't think I killed anybody by long journey starvation. And these, like I say, these houses up here gives them a place to stop into for warmth. Okay, so we've got now 3 adults and 1 student up here. So I think that means we can build the central market and the school. Okay, let's have a look down here. Now this, we haven't done this for a while, or I haven't. We have 227 logs, which is good. We have 312 stone, which is incredible, and we still have lots to pick up. But once we start building those forest nodes, that'll come down pretty quick. So we have 553 fuel. So I actually want to, I think let's max out this sawmill. And let's see if we can get that up to, say, 1,600. Food is sitting pretty good right now, 2454. Mind you, we have 49 people. Haven't built a tailor yet. Actually, let's see how much leather we have. Only 24 leather, so that's 12 coats. Not worth building a tailor yet, but let's actually go through here. And thanks again for this, Grace. Click on quantity and see what our biggest items are. So we have 2,200, almost 2,300 flowers, 2,200 fodder thatch. So I want to start turning that into fertilizer pretty quick here. And food, yada yada. Okay. So we can do early perfume too. So I said I was going to try new things, but some things, like if you don't make perfume, these flowers will fill every storage spot you got. And the fodder thatch, same thing in my opinion. So you want to turn fodder thatch into fertilizer, put that in the greenhouses. And you want to turn the flower into perfume because it sells for 8 each. So that's well worth doing. But not going to do that just yet because the whole point here is to establish a good solid foundation. So if we have 4 forest nodes up and running, that's a steady food supply all 4 seasons. And it's a log supply if you have a lull in traders or a surge in demand or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to let this build. I think this is what they're working on anyways, but I'm going to prioritize it because, you know, I love the priority tool. Okay, there they're going up the road, starting to build that stone road up there. Okay, let's see how many people we're at right now that need houses. I don't think anybody, but there's some students coming pretty quick. Yeah, so we should have another 4 or so people in a little while here. One thing maybe I'll put these over here is we have to fully expand this as well too. Yeah, we've only got 1 planter there. Let's up that. And let's actually make this top forest node, the original forest node, fully staffed. We have the people for it now. I won't activate this hunter yet. We're 2,600 food. So there is some planting going on, but not enough for my liking. That's why I put a second person in there. We'll need this area to start producing soon enough. Although they have done a good job of clearing out the rocks and iron ore. Okay, I did put a 3rd person in the sawmill. Yeah. Logs are pretty good. And we have 4. I think just in case we're gonna get this other sawmill going. But we won't prioritize that, we'll just let it go. I will prioritize this because I want this area to come up. Okay, once our marketplace and our school comes up, I'm gonna let them start building on this forest node to the right here. I think that's one that makes sense. It's sort of the closest to the marketplace. I think if I look at the gatherer here, it was a little bit obscured by the water and a little bit by this hill up here, but that should be a pretty good producer for us. Okay, I think I'll pause for a little bit and I'll be back. Okay, so it looks to me like we have a boy there, girl there, bunch of 15-year-olds, 17-year-old there. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get these 2 log cabins down here building just to finish this off. But also, as soon as they come up, I'm going to fix this offending log cabin up here. Okay, there's our market up above coming up. I'll just put 1 person in there for now. Yeah. Every time I go over this cabin, it's one hex or whatever off. It bugs me. I don't know why, but it just bugs me. So let's get that fixed. Okay, maybe while this is happening, we'll work on our camera settings here. So this is our main town, and that'll be the docks over here. So why don't we make that camera Z or Z? And then up here, we'll make this camera X. there's one of the log cabins down here. So I think this offensive cabin here, get the right one, there you go. Okay, and they move down here. Okay, so now we actually have 5 laborers. Food's below 2,000. Let's activate this hunter and get that off the books. And maybe that'll get us some more leather for coats and stuff, and we can finally build a tailor. Okay, let's prioritize the tear down here. First the laborers take all the food and firewood out, and then the builders come along and tear it down. Oh, I noticed we still have our storage card over here. Let's just mark that for a limit. No, not you. Alright. Okay, and our school up above there. That's good. Probably not too many students yet, but let's get that teacher in there before I forget. Okay, let's make sure this lines up. Okay, I'm sure that's going to make me much happier in life. Okay, let's have a quick look again here. So we have girl there. And a girl there. See, there's what I was talking about earlier. So here's a graduate at 16, and I think this one was 20, although I'm probably a little late getting the house, but you know, probably a 2-year difference just walking from here to here. So if you see me plunking schools all over the place, that's why, because if the students have to walk a long way, they may not graduate until they're like 22 or something like that. I've seen stuff like that before. So make sure you have plenty of schools and close to your population centers. That's one reason why in the last series, one of my strategies was build clusters of houses around central markets to make sure there was, you know, adequate access to markets and schools. Anyways, what was I doing down here? I activated that. Lost my train. Oh, I was looking to see how many graduates we have. So we have an 18-year-old student there. 19-year-old there. I think we can build a couple more houses. So why don't we start this forest node up here. Now, this will, that's actually a 3rd house, but that's okay. Let's get that one in. Our backup sawmill is coming online here. Okay, we'll just pause that for now. Just because I'm a little nervous. I set a target of 1,600, I think. And if 3 people working in one sawmill can't achieve that target, then we'll activate the second one. So just a note here, there's 2 colors for the sawmills. There's a red and a gray. I use gray for lumber. So my intention is to build a larger firewood production area, or 1 or more in other locations. And this will be my lumber build here. So there's 2 sawmills that can build lumber, and then there's this original tiny lumber that we may or may not keep, but it is kind of cute. So down the road, this will be our lumber location. But right now, it's just going to be making firewood, and this little guy will be making lumber. Or the sawmills will be making firewood. Okay. Now, I said I was going to take a couple of these houses here, yeah. Now, one thing that could help the build up here as well, too, is if we designate some trees and some stone. Now again, I build these stockpiles at the edge of the yellow circle so you know kind of what your limits are. Okay, and there's our fixed log cabin. Okay, nice symmetric gap there. Makes me happier. Now I don't have to look away when I pass over that area. Okay. Now this temporary area, we used it once for a brief period of time, but I feel better knowing we have that if we need it. So food right now is almost, just went over to 2,300. Firewood's up to 1166. And our fully expanded forest lodge is hanging tough in there with the 200 log limit, so be a lot of building and lumber being made right now. Okay, 0 students in the school, but we'll leave that alone, that's fine. Let's let this go. Okay, so there's 2 more forest nodes to build, and I think I'm going to go on pause for that. Probably nobody wants to watch me build 2 more of those, so I'll just pause for a while and we'll come back when we can do a little bit more exciting stuff. Hi, so a little status update. We've built our forest nodes out, or at least all but a couple houses. So each forest node has the production buildings up, 3 log cabins at the moment. Food is getting a little bit shaky, so I activated this gatherer's hut. Up top here, the gatherer's hut's not activated, but both of these forest lodges have 2 people and they're set for planting. And I've just finished setting stockpiles all the way around the circle here. So we're going to just designate all that stuff for cleanup. Don't care how long that takes as long as it gets done sooner or later. So there won't be any prioritization there or anything, but right now we're sitting at 195 logs, 167 stone, 100 tools, 1,600 firewood, and less than 1,000 food, which does not make me happy. 1 sawmill alone, it turned out, couldn't get us up to 1,600, so I've activated the second one. I also did derp a little bit. I was talking about building a lot of lumber, but I actually had nobody working in this lumber shop, so I spotted that and fixed that one. So I think the next move here, what it's going to look like is, as we get more graduates, we're going to build the rest of these log cabins and get some more food production going up here. But I think the next sort of big move is, I've laid out a couple of stone roads over to the right. And I think what I want to do is, well, 2 things really. So there's a farm supplier here. So I think I'm going to be tempted to build that pretty quick. I want some, vegetables as backup food. We can quickly slam in some temporary farms if we get in trouble. And the other thing I wanted to do, now in the past I've always used these, where are they here, the industry suppliers. So just to make myself happy, I'm going to build 1 of those. And then the second industry port I'll build is the other one we discovered last time, which was on the next tab over, and it was industry trade port. Now, one thing I noticed in the last series was, in the industry supplier, there's multiple traders that come to that, so you can sort of customize them different ones. And I didn't count exactly how many there are, but I think there's around 3. So you customize each trader with what you want to bring. In this industry trade port, I think it was called. Yeah, industry trade port, this guy. There's only 1 trader from what I can see, so I kept checking last series to, update the boat order and stuff like that. But I never had to because I did it once and it was done because there was only 1 boat coming to each of those. Now, the advantage of the industry trade port is that you can go up to 8 people instead of just up to 5 in the industry supplier. So probably a mixture of those 2 is going to be a good idea. So, if you just want logs and stone, then industry port and, 8 people bringing a lot of trade goods, right? That, to me, you can crank a lot of stuff out. And if you want a variety of stuff, I think the industry supplier is a good idea. So we're going to go industry supplier first. Now, this is just because I hate building gravel pits, or rock quarries, sorry, because they produce so slow and you have to build so many of them, and they're such an eyesore that, but because of that I'm afraid of running out of stone. So this map's a very large map and we have a fair amount of stone on it, but sometimes what you have to do is build early bridges so that you have places to go to collect stone if you run out. But in this case I'm just going to go early industry supplier. Now the other thing, and this is not a change from what I've done in the past, so forgive me for that, but it just works out so well. If you take the standard trading port, it fits perfectly within those two roads. So I'm going to plunk that guy in there. Now it needs iron to build, so we're not going to build that yet. But what I do want to do is I want to lay out some stockpiles. So I'm going to go maybe like 8x3 of logs. 8x3 of stone. A little bit of minerals, so maybe a 1x8 of minerals. Now, how much do we have left? We have 5 left, so let's go 8x3 of iron. A 1x8 for construction. And a 1x8 for raw materials. Now you might wonder why I'm not just laying out one giant sort of general stockpile, but this kind of setup, you want to, in my mind, you want to reserve space for certain things. So if you suddenly have an influx of logs, you don't want the whole thing to choke up with that. So what you want to do is build lots of specialized storage. So generally what I use over here is this one, the warehouses. And there's a specialized one where you do logs, stone, iron, etc. The other place where you can get that is in here. You get the same kind of thing. It's just a different look. So these are more of a two-door style. So I tend to use those. There's probably there's specialized stockpiles and stuff like that. But the advantage to the warehouses, they hold a lot for the space. The downside is one side you can't build unless you have building supplies, and the other one you can't build until you have iron. So for now we'll just plunk in some specialized stockpiles. Let's get a road going here. So the river zigs and zags a little bit, but there's enough room for quite a few trade ports here, so that's one of the reasons I picked this map. Okay, so let's get that going. Our logs aren't terrible. Oop, and while I was babbling away, we had a bunch of people graduate, so that says we're 5 houses short. We also sadly have our original settlers are actually older than me, poor souls. So there's going to be some housing come up there. So we have 1, 2, 3. Well, I let that get kind of out of hand. So let's build down here. A house both for the workers and the traders that we'll have there. So one house there. And then I think what we'll do is we'll go up here and build one each in those forest nodes. And let that rip. Yeah, no, we prioritize the house, but maybe the house and the stockpiles here. And let's get some more builders going. Now, food's not 100% awesome, so sorry, why don't we come up here and we'll just put 2 people in that mini hunter there. Oh, and a note here too, when I was building these forest nodes, there was a comment, I think on the last video, which is a great comment about better barns than what I'm using here. So if we go in here, I'm using this medium barn, which is a 600 or sorry, 6,000 capacity, which was pretty decent for the size. Yeah, I think the commenter said there was a medium-sized barn with 18,000, and I had a look through here and I couldn't find it. There's 3 storage tabs, so I'll try again later. But if the person that made that comment on the last video is watching this one, maybe if you can give me a bit of a a click schedule on how to get to it and which tab it is and stuff like that. Because if there is a medium barn, and I don't doubt your word that there's 18,000 capacity, I would love to use that. A bit of a side note there, but... And by the way, again, I appreciate the comments. I started this a little while ago, never expected anybody to watch, so I appreciate it. Okay, let's do an unnecessary priority. Probably I should put an extra vendor in each of these. I tend to ignore that for a while. Okay, food's up 2,700. You know, firewood's not holding as steady as I like. Okay, there's one log cabin. So let's maybe get a stacks burner going for some charcoal. Okay. Let's prioritize the house and the industry supplier, I think. Okay, there's the house. Okay, let's make this a little easier to see and maybe get some trade or some building material here. Bunch of iron ore there we can collect. Alright, there's our industry supplier. Hi, so sorry about that. I derped a bit on the recording, and I actually recorded more, or at least I thought in my head I was recording more, but I was paused and it didn't record. So I'm going to end the episode here, and we've just built the industry supplier. So I'm going to staff that up and build some more lumber or firewood production in a different location, but we'll do that in the next episode. So this was episode 2 of Banished with megamod 9, series 2. And one last note, I put a bunch of pauses in this to sort of skip past some of the boring stuff, so I hope that worked for people. And I would appreciate any comments. If it worked for you, great. If it didn't work for you, let me know. And I'm still trying to figure out sort of how to do all this stuff here. But what I do know is I love playing this game, and I love this megamod. So hopefully you guys are trying megamod 9 and trying different parts than what I'm using too. I encourage that. And again, if the person left a comment on the 8,000 or 18,000 capacity barn can give me some feedback on where to find that, I'd sure appreciate it. Anyways, derpymoose99 here. Thank you.